All right, so winter seems to have evaporated. It is warm outside. It's almost 60 degrees. What a nice feeling that is. And with the advent of warmer weather, Stella can find more things to chase, I turn to my little cars here and start thinking about maintaining them, driving them. I've been driving this one quite a bit. You guys have seen it a lot in the last few videos. This is my 1969 Subaru 360. I call it the Flamer. It was on a magazine cover right up there at one point in time, and I just love these little cars. But in particular, I've been driving this one, but it's developed a little problem, and I want to go through what you would do to fix it. So hang with me here while we see if we can resolve the problem of this little leaking fuel Subaru 360. These things have a very, very simple fuel system. Basically, there's a fuel tank which rests right here under the package tray of the back seat or back window area, and you would access the fuel tank by opening this little valve, or not valve, but a little trap door, fuel door you might call it. It's locked. So the tank sits right beneath the back window there, and I'll show you that from the inside. You can kind of see where it resides. It's inside the car, and it's a gravity feed system. And the way it works is there's a little valve. You can see it's the gold valve right there. I'm pointing to it. There's a diaphragm on there, and one part of the diaphragm vacuum goes to, and the other part fuel flows out of. So when the engine is running, vacuum comes from this little port right here on the intake manifold and applies a little vacuum to that valve and allows the fuel to gravity feed down into the carburetor. When you turn the car off, you no longer have vacuum, and theoretically that valve should shut. Now, this car is pretty old. It's a 1969. It's more than, well, it's right about 50 years old. This is 2019. And the little nipple that's inside that valve tends to get old and hard and quits sealing, and then the gas starts to leak. And so the club has made a repair kit here. So this is what the inside of that valve looks like. Here's our diaphragm that I was pointing at, and our vacuum line goes to one side. But there's a little nipple, and this is that nipple right there. A little, has to be a fuel resistant nipple the club has made. Goes right here, and it gets a tear in it, and it will either allow fuel to seep past the nipple and overflow the carburetor, or in this case, I believe it's just leaking right out the bottom of the diaphragm. And I may have another problem, but I'm going to replace the seal. But this is how it works. You can see that little nipple goes right there to shut off the fuel supply when the vacuum is not applied. So what we're going to do is, this car actually has an electric fuel pump. I'm going to falsely energize with vacuum the diaphragm, which it seems to hold, and then I'm going to turn my key on, which will allow fuel to fill up my gas cans that I got sitting here, so I can drain the tank and remove that valve. So let's turn the key on here. Get a red light. You can hear the fuel pump pumping. I want to make sure it's flowing, and yes, it is. I've got an empty gas jug here, and I just filled this car up with super unleaded. It has about 5-6 gallons. No, it doesn't have that much. 4 to 5 gallons, I guess. So we're going to drain the fuel, take the valve apart, and see if we can fix it. So again, what we did is we applied vacuum falsely to that line. It's holding vacuum just fine. It opened the valve, and with our pump on, it is allowing fuel to flow into my gas can. And once that fills up and the tank of the car empties, we can take the valve out. Let's get to work. Okay, I'm starting to hear gurgling noises from our fuel evacuation. You can see the fuel flowing through the filter there. Still got some in it. And I bet our gauge is reading, yeah, our gauge is reading empty right there. So we're getting pretty low. But yeah, we had a full 4 gallons, maybe 4.5, whatever's in reserve there. Filled up that one, and now this one's almost full. And we'll take the valve out as soon as it's done. Okay, so we got the gas drained from our Subaru 360, and we undid the little set screw. There's a tiny little set screw like this that holds that diaphragm onto the valve, and I just slowly loosened it. See if I can pull it out. Okay, and there is the old nipple. It doesn't look too bad. It definitely have a hole in it. That could be the original. So I'm going to pop that off there and put the new one on. Don't think I can do it one-handed, so just a second. Okay, so I got the old fuel tip off. It's this one right here. It's very soft and pliable and sort of short, whereas this one is a little more erect and much more firm. And the club went through a lot of trouble to try to find the right material to make that fuel resistant. So I'm hoping that works out. So I put a fuel tip just like this on the diaphragm. You can see it there, and I'm going to reassemble it. It's hard to do holding the camera. I need both hands, so trust me, I'm going to put that in and fill it full of gas, and hopefully our leaks will stop. Okay, let's fill her up. And we'll see if she leaks. All right, we got our gas poured back in, and if you'll notice, or maybe you didn't notice, it takes straight fuel. This is a two-stroke car, but the gas is not mixed with the oil until it's mechanically mixed. Oil goes in this reservoir and gas goes in there, and it's mixed by a little mixer pump down there. So this car and all Subaru 360s do not take mixed fuel per se. You have to let the car mix it. So we got the gas in the tank, got a couple gallons in there. Let's see if it fires up, see if there's any leaks. Oh, that's one thing about a Subaru 360. Let me shut this, is the ignition key. Whoopsie. Let's shut that carefully, move that over. We got to put our gas cap back on, and our gas cap is actually a radiator cap. Works just fine. I was saying the ignition key is also the gas cap lock key, so you can't drive off with your key or your flap open, anything like that, because you need the key to start the car. And if it's stuck in the gas flap, you're not going to go very far. Okay, so key in the ignition, fuel pump is going to, oh yeah, we got some fuel in the tank. Let's see what happens here. Fires right up. I'm going to give it a little gas. The float bowl still had some fuel in it, so. A little sticky. Let's turn it off and check for leaks. Turn the key off. This is when it would leak, is when the vacuum. Yay, I think we fixed it. Our hose is dry. All right. So we are on to the next adventure. That is how you fix your Subaru 360 gas valve tip. Excuse me. Here's the old one, and here's the new one. And you can buy them from the Subaru 360 Club. Excuse my voice. It's got a frog in it. And or you can excuse me, or you can message me below on the video, and I will send you the information on where to find these. Thanks for watching, and thanks for following along with another Subaru 360 tip and trick. Keep your car on the road, running on 2 cylinders.